Hello, welcome to Film Burst 2016. I had to check the title there. I've got a script. Woo! Yeah, I've pre-planned everything I'm going to say for this, so cool. So, what is this series? Well, basically, I started doing 2-minute movie reviews, and then I forgot, and I decided, scrap it. Never mind. We'll do this instead. So, this is a list of 6 films from January all the way through to start of July, and then the next part will be end of July through to December. There are lots of films on this year, which is why I've sort of decided to do this, and I've decided to wear the least filmy t-shirt possible. Never mind. Okay, so the list of films goes like this: Sherlock the Abominable Bride, I'll explain why I've included that one in a minute, Dad's Army, Deadpool, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and Now You See Me 2. Some fantastic films in there. Now, I must warn you that there will be spoilers, okay? So I don't want any complaints that I've wrecked films. You should have seen them, okay? And if you haven't, well, stop watching now. Any of the ones I've just mentioned, okay? Any of these. It's important, okay? I'm going to review these. I'm not going to give them a mark out of 10 because that's lame. So's the word lame. Let's get on with it. Okay, so the first film, I use this term sort of lightly here, is Sherlock the Abominable Bride. I've included it as it was available for viewing in cinemas. That's basically the reason. So this film's sort of a fantastically imaginative look at how Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch would look as John and Sherlock in the Victorian era. I thought that was really good. Basically because Conan Doyle, Victorian, these actors, well accomplished, they can manage anything. Modern scenario, yeah, they can cope with that. Throw them back into the Victorian era, see what they can do then. It's really, 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 really well thought out and well done as well. And the links between both work as well. I really like that. They said that this was completely unrelated, did Moffat and Gatiss, that's Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. They lied. They often do that, especially Stephen Moffat. He's notorious for lying. This is a tie-in. It's sort of what happens just after the events of the end of Series 3. And for those of you who don't know what happened there, there's a fly. For those of you who don't know what happened there, well, I can't help you. You have to help yourself. This film was truly spooky and scary where it had to be. And it was also quite funny as well. But it was serious when it needed to be as well, which was, I'm saying as well a lot, as well. Andrew Scott also added a completely different angle, returning to his role of Moriarty. I thought it was really good seeing a Victorian Moriarty played by him. He's such a good actor that I think he could cope as well as Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman in those films. I say films, they're all feature length, let's just leave it, okay? Stop asking for more. I'm pointing at the screen, there's the camera, stop asking for more. I thought it was really nice to see at the end-ish of the film, the Reichenbach Falls as they should have been, nearly. The way the set was created and the CGI was recreated to make it look like the original Arthur Conan Doyle novel was a real nice nod to him, and I think it's really great to see them stay true to what Victorian Sherlock was. With most things, second viewings usually help with the explanation, and I think that was true here as well as everywhere, really. I mean, second viewings really help with me watching Doctor Who and Sherlock sometimes. So the second viewing of this, which I've just done, really is good for getting to grips with the actual plot line. Otherwise my review would be completely different. It would be, didn't make sense, what a load of rubbish, kill. I think the moral of this is kids, don't take drugs, otherwise you end up throwing yourself off the Reichenbach Falls. I mean, it's really not good for your health. Ow! Also, you start to dream of Andrew Scott shooting himself in Victorian London. I mean, honestly, the things that LSD do to you. Wasn't even LSD. Don't do drugs! Dad's Army, the home guard for a new generation, I've written. I'm gonna hold this again, because looking down all the time's hurting my neck and probably your brains. Dad's Army is funny in places, which is true to the original show, and also it has a really dramatic ending, the likes of which I wasn't expecting when I first sat down to start watching this. It was actually quite emotional near the end, with the beach scene. I won't go into any more detail, even though I did warn you about spoilers. But, you know, I'm not going to go ahead and just spoil the entire plot for you, because that's just dumb. The chemistry between the actors is something that I picked up on while watching it. It's really obvious that they all get on really well. My standout actor here is Bill Nighy, because he's a fantastic actor, really accomplished actor, and he was great as his character Wilson in Dad's Army. Many people have said to me, we're not going to see it, it's not like the old show, and I know it's not the old show, because for its time it was a very, very risky programme, but this is bringing kids into the genre of Dad's Army, and it's also quite a nice nod to some of the original cast who aren't with us anymore. What I thought was nice was one of the old cast actually played one of the characters in this film. I can't remember which one though. I think it was Pike. The old Pike actor played somebody. Deadpool. Now, if you've seen my 2-minute movie review of this, you'll know that I enjoyed the film. I thought it was quite a cheeky little winky-woo at movies, how they could be better as R-rated in America or 15s in the UK. And it's something that Marvel is starting to pick up on now. They're now running with it. They're going, Wolverine, yeah, let's do another Deadpool because it seemed to go really well. Yeah, money. It is very funny, especially the fourth wall breaking, and that's something that it's just a new genre for this genre, if you catch my drift. Deadpool does a lot of fourth wall breaks in the comics, so why shouldn't he do them in the films? It makes sense. The film is quite explicit in parts. There is a lot of nudity. That cat meowed in exactly the right place. I don't know if you heard that. I wouldn't suggest going to see this film with your mum, your dad, your nan, your great aunt Mabel, your pet kangaroo. Just, you know, it's probably going to be quite awkward. You're going to be going, where to look? There is also quite a bit of swearing. I don't mind swearing, honestly, but again, if you're going to see it with great aunt Mabel and she hears that, she's going to, what did he just say? Come on, we're leaving right now. There isn't much plot, it's quite a simple story. Boy meets girl, girl gets kidnapped, guy or boy goes through a weird genetic experiment to become some weird freaky thing that can't die. Yeah, I mean, really quite simple, a plotline, but it's still a good film all the same. One of the best scenes is the first scene, counting down the bullets with Deadpool. And it just shows you, it's really good, it shows you what he's capable of immediately, going straight into the film, going, weep, and just shooting them up. It's pretty good. Some of you might know that I've just been to Peru, and on the plane Deadpool was there. Now, I couldn't watch it all because sat next to me was one of my teachers, but a few rows back was another teacher who loved it. He loved it, he wanted to watch it again on the way home as well. I could hear him laughing. Most films of this nature might not get that reaction from a teacher. He's a pretty cool teacher though. Captain America Civil War. What an amazing film. Best film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise I have seen that they have released to date. I've seen them all, by the way, I'm not missing any. Yeah, it's really, 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 really good. I can't think of another film from Marvel that is this good. The cast always gels really well, and it comes through. Like I said with Dad's Army, this comes through really nicely in this film. Once again, funny where it needed to be, serious in other places, and it's good to have a little bit of comedy in such a serious film. This is probably one of the darkest films that has been released. I mean, there's a guy who tries to commit suicide at the end, unsuccessfully. Won't say any more, won't tell you who it is. Again, that would just be a dumb thing to do. I thought the press for this was really good all the way through until the film came out, and then past that, all the hashtag Team Cap, hashtag Team Iron Man. I chose Team Cap, and I stayed Team Cap right the way through, even through the film. I was Team Cap, much to my friends' horror, as they were all Team Iron Man. But you know, go Team Cap. The Sokovia Accords, which were possibly the main thing this film was about, and it had to be like the Stanford incident in the comic book Civil War. This is the Stanford of the movie, the Sokovia Accords, and it's pushed by the incident with Scarlet Witch, where she accidentally blows up a building, killing lots of people, but she was trying to save other people. This, unfortunately, was backbenched a bit near the end of the film, as it became quite a personal film towards certain characters, Iron Man, Captain America, and Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. Though Civil War was a Captain America film, there was a lot of focus on Iron Man, especially at both ends of the film, the beginning, which to you will look like the end. Maybe. I don't know how this works. It felt like a mini Iron Man 4, as well as a Captain America film as well, which is what Civil War needed to be. It was disappointing to me that nobody died, and the dying is something that I quite like in Civil War 2, the comic series going on at the minute. Hashtag 3 deaths and counting. Oh no. However, it is good that Daniel Bruhl's character Zemo didn't get killed off like all the other throwaway villains they've had in this franchise. I think it's important to keep some characters back to work with later on, and Daniel Bruhl as Zemo is one that myself and Lewis both hope comes back as sort of a major villain or something. He becomes a Baron or something. Maybe he's Baron Zemo of Hydra. Dun dun. Dun dun. X-Men Apocalypse. What an awesome film. For me, X-Men Apocalypse felt more like rebooting the franchise, really. So Days of Future Past, which has a lot of time travel and more focused. It's just a way of them carrying on. This rebooting the franchise, really. The X-Men that had already sort of been done. It's just a way of them carrying on. This focused more on the sort of the main five of Days of Future Past. Don't get me wrong, Days of Future Past is a good film. I just prefer this one to that. They were sort of the main five of Days of Future Past. Don't get me wrong, Days of Future Past is a good film. I just prefer this one to that. The film does still centre around sort of one, maybe two main characters. They are Jean Grey and Cyclops. Now, these two people are important within the X-Men. They are two characters that we've seen in the original three. But it was sort of good that it focused around how especially Cyclops, went from being this struggling boy to gaining mutant powers, or he was struggling with mutant powers, but to becoming an X-Man. X-Men, man, X-Man, men, X-Woman, X... Wolverine had another cameo, and to be honest, I don't mind, because after Wolverine 3, which this film set up, Hugh Jackman's not going to be Wolverine anymore, and they're going to have a completely new character. As the Honest trailer says, Hugh Jackman could play the character Wolverine in his sleep by now. He's played it so many times in pretty much every film of the X-Men franchise, except Deadpool. For me, Apocalypse and his Horsemen were a bit of a disappointment. Apocalypse is meant to be a major villain within the X-Men franchise, and to be honest, he's just been written out. And probably the reason is that the actor's too expensive. So, it's a bit of a shame, but I think it was just sort of a jumping off point for Magneto to be brought back as a big bad after being all good and that, because the plot demands it, of course. Finally, the last film in this list is Now You See Me 2, which we all agree that should have been called Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It has a stunning cast, fantastic writing as ever. These are some of the things that the first film made it difficult to beat. I mean, it was superb, stunning, very well written, as I said, excellent cast, all-star cast. I mean, Morgan Freeman's in a film, then it's basically going to be good. I think, for me personally, 2 matched the quality of 1 and sort of rounded it all off again. I mean, there's still more, that the plot can then go off in another direction. As the Horseman said, they will be back very soon. So I hope there is a Now You See Me 3, because these 2 have been really good. I'm going to say it now, my favourite type of fight scene is a magic fight scene. There was one in 1 with Mark Ruffalo being attacked by Jack Wilder. There was one in 2 with Mark Ruffalo attacking a load of Daniel Radcliffe's people. It's really cool. Honestly, I love magic fights. The way that they use the tools of magic against people, it's great. I thought the beginning of the film with Lionel Shrike's death scene, foreshadowing what they were going to do to Dylan Rhodes / Shrike later on in the film, was really good, and it really set the tone for this film. It is slightly darker than the first film, basically because the Horsemen face death at one point, or we think they do. I won't again. Whoa, that was a big old spoiler. The theft of the circuit board thing, the scene was really tense for me. The way the card was then being thrown around, and oh god, it was very well filmed, and apparently it took a week to film just that section of the film because it was so focused on each character, but actually it really paid off. It was one of the best scenes in the film, quite honestly. The London magic was fun, basically. It was great to see each Horseman doing an individual show somewhere in London. Daniel Atlas's Stop in the Rain, Jack Wilder's Find the Lady. Yeah, it was very good. It was good fun, and I just think it's a shame Merritt McKinney didn't get to perform his show, but the plot demanded him not to, so it worked. The motorcycles was fun as well. I like that bit. I wasn't too sure about the new Horseman Lula at the start of the film, however, as it progressed, she sort of grew on me, and by the end of the film it was like she hadn't... Well, it was like she had been in the first one, because she was so familiar by the end of the film. The way they introduced her was actually really, really well done. I especially... Well, see, I liked her intro, with the guillotine chair. That was funny because you could see it all wired up across the room, and then all of a sudden you look up, there's a guillotine, it goes and cuts her head off supposedly, but it's magic, so it doesn't. But no, it's funny, and it set the tone of her type of magic. Each one of the horsemen has their own type of magic. Jack Wilder's cards, Merritt's mentalism, she is grim magic. It's a very interesting genre of magic, I will grant you, but it is funny, usually. My now current favourite horseman, I have two maybe. My favourite horseman is Dylan Rose because of that magic fight I mentioned earlier. It's Dylan Shrike now though, because he's all magic all of a sudden. Yeah, so he's my favourite horseman. Jack Wilder's the other one because he does a lot of things with cards, and I like to throw cards and all sorts. I don't know any card tricks, but I'd like to learn some, so on the topic of learning some magic, this film persuaded me to buy something. That's right, I bought a Now You See Me magic set. It's so pretty. It's a case. I'm going to be doing a separate review for this. But call me a nerd, I like magic. So that's the end of my review. My favourite film of 2016, well, I can't give you that because it's not finished. We're only halfway through. So yeah, I can't tell you my favourite film so far. I can do my favourite films so far. So there's lots to compare if you're looking for a good thriller. Now You See Me 2, which is probably my favourite film of the year so far. If you're looking for a Marvel film, I'd probably suggest Civil War rather than Deadpool. Deadpool's quite an acquired taste. It's for some people, it's not for others. I found it funny, some of my friends didn't. But Civil War's a good film. So's X-Men, but Civil War, that one. If you're looking for something comedic, then maybe Deadpool, or if you want something a bit toned down, then Dad's Army. And Sherlock's there too. So, what films are coming up? Well, I'm going to see Star Trek Beyond sometime, either hopefully tomorrow or next week, or maybe even the week after, depending on what I'm doing. Then it'll be Suicide Squad, which me and a few friends want to go and see. Then in October, Doctor Strange, the next Marvel Cinematic Universe one with Benedict Cumberbatch at the helm. It's going to be good. And lastly, film number 10, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think it's part 1, I think it's in 3 parts. So yeah, that one is number 10. So thank you for watching. Please let me know what your favourite films so far of the year are down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.